Wednesday, August 5th. Did BilletSPIN's Fusion pre-order actually solve the problems collectors experienced during the original launch? A week ago, collectors were frustrated after the Fusion sold out instantly. Today, BilletSPIN tried something completely different, a 1-minute pre-order window. The pre-order's over, Rich answered all the questions, and after watching the community reaction unfold live, I think we learned something much bigger than whether the pre-order was a success. If you're into premium EDC and want honest reviews, launch coverage, and behind-the-scenes conversations with makers like Rich, consider subscribing. I got a lot coming over the next few weeks, including a live conversation with Rich from BilletSPIN. All right, let's do a quick recap. Go back about a week ago. We had an instant sellout, frustrated collectors, website issues, and fairness concerns. Then, Rich decided to try something completely different. Before the launch, I asked Rich if the 1-minute pre-order was everything he hoped it would be. Here's what he told me after the sale in his YouTube short.
All right, Coach Ken wants to know, how did the pre-order sale? Was it everything that I hoped it would be? I had a number in mind that I was just praying that was going to be about the number that we sold, and it was almost exactly that number, which is a huge number.
That's probably the clearest answer I could have hoped for. He had a target in mind before the launch, and by his own words, the pre-order came in almost exactly where he wanted it. For him, that's a huge success. He also explained that the biggest concern wasn't demand, it was whether they had enough zirconium material in inventory to support the response if the pre-order really took off. My second question was simple. Approximately how many orders came in during the 1-minute pre-order? And here is his answer. There's a few things I will never discuss on non-limited items, amounts sold, and how fast or slow we can make them. Nothing good comes from giving out that information, as I learned the hard way in the past. I actually appreciate that response. Rather than simply declining to answer, Rich explained why BilletSPIN chooses not to share that information. Lastly, I asked, would he do it again?
And if I can do another pre-order sale, I will. But it for sure won't be next week because we're going to be busy fulfilling this pre-order sale. So anyways, yeah, it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
And what stood out to me wasn't simply that he'd do another pre-order. It was that the limiting factor isn't demand, it's material availability. Rich talked about zirconium tubing being difficult to source right now, with lead time stretching 2 to 3 months. That really reinforces how much planning goes into launches like this. Probably the biggest difference between this launch and last week's wasn't the pre-order itself, it was the tone of the community afterwards. And I was watching some of the message boards in real time, and they were overwhelmingly positive. Let's take a look at some that I pulled as the launch was going off here. So much better this way, step nose acquired, grab the step nose, and just to show some balance here, it wasn't perfect for everyone. We had someone here that crashed in the middle of putting in their info, had to restart. So not always perfect, but I think this was certainly strides in the right direction. The biggest takeaway for me wasn't whether the pre-order worked. It was gaining a better understanding of why BilletSPIN makes the decisions it does. As collectors, we naturally focus on the finished pen. Conversations like this remind us that every launch has to account for materials, machine time, staffing, and production realities that most of us never see. Between material shortages, machining limitations, setup time, and simply trying to balance fairness with production reality, there's a lot happening behind the scenes that most of us never see. Before I wrap it up, I wanted to share one more thing. Rich has invited me to sit down with him for a live conversation. I think it'd be a great opportunity to go beyond product reviews and really pull back the curtain on premium EDC manufacturing, product development, and the decisions that go into launches like this. If you got a question you'd like me to ask Rich, leave it in the comments below. I'll put together the best questions from the community and we'll ask them directly. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.